As one of the best cornerbacks in the draft, Jermod McCoy would revolutionize and elevate the Minnesota Vikings secondary.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Guys, we have a fun one. We're going to talk about Jermod McCoy and why he would elevate and revolutionize the Minnesota Vikings secondary to new heights. Jadarian Price being the new face of the Kansas City Chiefs rushing attack. And Vega Ioane helping out, building and fortifying an offensive line for CJ Stroud. Before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by and sponsored by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Man, we have not seen this young man play football in over a calendar year or close to a calendar year, and that is Tennessee cornerback Jermod McCoy. McCoy tore his ACL rough going on a year ago, and about a week or so makes it a year since he tore it and had surgery and everything. So being basically a year post-surgery, but we didn't get a chance to see Jermod play at all in 2025 for those Tennessee Volunteers. There was a lot of talk. I remember I talked to a scout, said, hey, from what I was told, the team expects him to be ready by week 4, week 3, and all that type of stuff. That's the first month of the season. And then it never happened. And then it was like, hey, touch back. And all the reports like, oh, he might be ready for Arkansas's game and he's practicing. And we never saw Jermod McCoy again in a Tennessee Volunteers uniform. Listed at 6 foot, 195 pounds. This was a guy that was one of the best corners, man-to-man zone. It didn't really matter. He was one of the best in the country in 2024. Allowed only 2 touchdowns in coverage, 4 interceptions, 6 PBUs. This was a guy that allowed a little over 385 yards in coverage and everything. With and again, like being in the SEC, he absolutely was tested. He played on the outside predominantly, and I think with the things that are why he would be a great fit and a perfect fit for the Minnesota Vikings, barring of course, regardless. I think regardless of what happens, he'll be a great fit for Minnesota. But if you also still have Brian Flores manning and calling that defense, oh yeah, like this is a guy that he can then take as his true cornerback one and put him on him, let him blanket and follow and do everything he can do against opposing number 1 receivers. You're thinking about dealing with the Roma Dunze or DJ Moore, or even his ability to knock the kick down into the nickel and play tight man-to-man coverage, be physical, and put him in the slot in the nickel spot against a Luther Burden with Chicago. Dealing with Amari St. Brown and Jamison Williams with the Detroit Lions, and whoever is going to be wide receiver 1 for the Green Bay Packers. Maybe we get to see a healthy Matthew Golden full season next year in 2026, or this year in 2026, this incoming season rather. And if we get that, maybe he steps up to the forefront and say, hey, I'm wide receiver 1. But nonetheless, Jermod McCoy, his ability to really stress receivers, and also not just stress receivers, stress quarterbacks, because this is a corner that is very good in man-to-man situations. And that ability to go up to the line of scrimmage, press you, he can mirror and match guys. He can get a little grabby, a little handsy, and everything. So the NFL doesn't like you to touch their wide receivers. You can't touch the receivers in the NFL, right? You get illegal contact for touching them too much. They're gonna throw a flag on you. So you got to work on that aspect of the game for him. But his ability was fluid hips, quick-footed mover. He can flip his hips, turn, rotate, pivot, get out of his spots. He can get up in press coverage, disrupt you with punches, right? Reroute you, all those good things. But then also he plays zone. And that intellect, that high football IQ is what I love about him most, because that allows you to basically disguise coverages. You can line everybody up and press man. You can even start bailing out that opposite side corner. he still stays impressed in terms of Jermod McCoy. So then maybe they're thinking it's a combo coverage. Maybe they run a little bit of zone over here. Maybe they're just playing off man over here. Whatever the case may be. And next thing you know, he bails out. He side saddles out, but then he squats and reads, and he's really quick to trigger, and he's got enough explosiveness and juice to whether he's triggering upfield for a high read or he's triggering downfield, downhill on a low read. But either way, he can make those plays, and he can bait your quarterback into some very compromising throws. So think about that with a Brian Flores, if he's still there this after the head coaching carousel that we're going to experience this offseason and everything. The teams that are going to fire the head coach or already fired the head coach. They got to find themselves a new head coach. And he is definitely someone that deserves a second chance. And if he gets it, right, or if he doesn't get it, for whatever reason, the Minnesota Vikings will be beneficiaries for it. And adding a guy like Jermod McCoy to this secondary, yes, like I think the report is that the Vikings are getting ready to bid farewell to their star safety who's been there for, man, I don't even know how long he's been in the league at this point. But Harrison Smith, right? Like, you're going to lose a leader in that locker room, man. He drafted, 2012? So, yeah, 13, 14 years or whatnot? Like, one of the best safeties we've seen in the league over the last 15, 20 years, man. He's just outstanding guy. You have Isaiah Rodgers at corner. You also have Byron Murphy, who I believe they paid and everything. Yeah, they need another corner. And I think that Jermod McCoy, I truly believe what Jermod McCoy brings to the table would absolutely fit this team. And it will help elevate them. Because again, you get a true CB1 caliber guy. Now, of course, the combine is going to be critical. If he goes to the combine, medicals on that surgically repaired knee comes out, and it's like, hey, we got the green light. Like John Legend, give me the green light, okay? If we got the green light, draft him round 1, okay? Especially if he's able to. I expect if we get the medicals and everything's clear, I expect him to test, because at the end of the day, you can't declare for the draft and not do anything, not play football for a year, not scouts maybe see you do anything. You're not at the Senior Bowl as of yet. You're not at the Shrine Bowl as of yet. You're not at any of these things. You go to the combine, you get the green light medically, but also then you go and test well, run fast, jump high, show the actual on the field workout where you are just making the plays constantly with your movement skills, like in terms of letting the teams know and letting the decision makers in the stands know, and the fans watching and the scouts watching, hey, I'm that guy. I'm still a guy you fell in love with last year, because coming into this season, yeah, scouts had him as CB1. It's just unfortunate we weren't able to see him. So perfect pairing, I think. Jermod McCoy, 6 foot, 195 pounds, just do it all corner for the Tennessee Volunteers will be a perfect pairing with the Minnesota Vikings, giving them a true CB1. But guys, let's talk about it. Going from CB1 to an RB1, the Kansas City Chiefs need a running back, and a Jadarian Price is a perfect fit. Kicking off the year feeling good is the goal, right? Honestly, hydration is the easiest win. When I stay on top of it, my energy, focus, and mood all level up. But let's be real, plain water doesn't always cut it, especially when you're grinding through long days hitting the gym or trying to stay consistent with your health goals. That's where Drip Drop comes in. Doctor-developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body and mind work better. Think clearer focus, better energy, and elevated mood, even that fresh skin glow. I've been using Drip Drop as a part of my daily routine, and it's honestly a game changer, not just for workouts, but every single day. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. But with PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, The action never slows down, and PrizePicks lets you stay in control. PrizePicks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting, just pick more or less and play your way. Getting started on PrizePicks was quick and simple. The app is super easy to navigate. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks is good to be right. Jadarian Price would be a perfect fit, a perfect prospect pairing for the Kansas City Chiefs. Notre Dame's RB2 and my NFL Draft's RB2, the guy who sat behind and rotated in behind Jeremiah Love, the best running back in the class, arguably a blue chip player for me. Not even arguably, he is a blue chip player for me. Jadarian Price, 5'11", 210, 205 pounds. This is a young man that has a little bit of everything. This is a dynamic, explosive running back. He averaged 6 yards per carry on the season, but that was brought down, after their Week 14 game against Stanford, where he had 6 carries for 15 yards and a touchdown. He averaged 2.5 yards, right? Like, it was what it was, right? But in the situation where he didn't get a lot of the volume, a lot of the touch and share in that backfield, you of course you don't want to take a Jeremiah Love off the field. But this is a running back that I absolutely love. I think he has a pretty sturdy build and runs with low center of gravity. I really appreciate the open field elusiveness and playmaking that he has with the football in his hands. He is a special teams ace. I believe he does have a kick return touchdown on the season this year. Like, yeah, he's got 2 this year against USC and against Purdue. Like, he can return kicks as well. This is a dynamic. He's got 3 kick returns in his career, going back to 2023 for Notre Dame. This is a young man that is an absolute playmaker, and he's a type of guy with his speed, with his dynamicism, the explosiveness that he brings to the table. He can flip field position, right? He can flip field position fairly easily with the football, right? I'm telling you, that explosive threat in all phases, running, rushing, receiving, and returning. Patient with good vision, follows his blocks. That contact balance is good. He pinballs off defenders. And he's got, like I said, the top end speed to pull away from defenders. And then I love the fact that he can get skinny through smaller creases, man. I just look at him and say, you would be a perfect fit for Andy Reid. I believe he would be what Andy Reid thought he was going to get in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's just bigger and more explosive, right? Like, he just does more in that regard. Now, I would like to see him. Hey, can you run more routes out of the backfield? Because that receiving versatility and route running versatility isn't something that you see on tape, but it's more so, hey, was it something he just wasn't asked to do, or is it something you can't do or you need to be coached up to do? I think that is a key for me when I think about what Jadarian Price brings to the table. But you look at the Kansas City Chiefs offense, Isaiah Pacheco, that he's giving you some good things. Don't get twisted. He's giving you some good things. But it's over, man. It is over. It's time to move on. It's time to get someone that, because if I remember correctly, let me pull this up here. I believe Isaiah Pacheco might have ran I believe like a 4.3 in the 40. If I remember correctly, let me just double check here. 4.37. He ran a 4.37 in the 40-yard dash, right? You see him run once he gets drafted to the league, and you're like, yeah, like he looks explosive, looks like he's moving fast, but he's not always pulling away from defenses, even though he's got sub 4.4 speed. That's why I tell you guys, please don't overrate the 40. Some guys train for it and they look good when they're running it, and then you get on the field and they're getting caught from behind. They're not generating the same big explosive plays that you want to see them generate. So I think for me, man, Jadarian Price, again, you lose your star, your franchise guy in Patrick Mahomes to a torn ACL late in this season. So we probably won't see him till November, December next year, if at all. Well, maybe you rest him all season. If you do, right, you need somebody that can help really help whoever's going to be at quarterback. I think they should be a team that looks at having a veteran quarterback that's capable of starting and making good plays. Jadarian Price could be a running back that could be a high volume guy. Now, we haven't seen him handle high volume and high touches at Notre Dame because of Jeremiah Love. But nonetheless, I think when you look at him and you look at his frame, you look at his ability, you look at his skill set, I feel perfectly fine with him being the bell cow, the RB1. Because again, look at, just the Alvin Kamaras and guys like that, where it's not about 25 rush attempts. Maybe it's 15 rush attempts and 10 targets and 10 receptions. And that's how you get your 25 touches. Nonetheless, I think he is a yards from scrimmage animal. I think he's going to be a beast in terms of the yards from scrimmage situation. We look at RJ Harvey, and RJ Harvey's 8 rushing touchdowns, 7 receiving touchdowns, or something along that line. That's what he's coming into this past weekend of the NFL, the final weekend of the NFL. That's what he had, right? Or something along that lines. And if you ask me, DP, Dame, who would be the better running back out of those two? Jadarian Price. Jadarian Price is stronger, more physical, more explosive, more dynamic, like all of it. And he's still elusive. He can run between the tackles with no problem. Like, he's got the contact balance to pinball and bounce off of would-be tacklers and stay upright. All those things absolutely in his favor. So I think you can look at Jadarian Price and say, man, he can end up having 8 to 9 receiving touchdowns and 8 to 10 rushing touchdowns. And you would not be off kilter and off base for saying that. And if that is the case, you're talking about, man, that's a really successful rookie year without potentially Pat Mahomes. So then Pat Mahomes comes back in 2027, a full year of rest and rehabilitation and getting stronger, and also being able to sit and just let the fact that this season wasn't going well for him anyway. Then he tears his ACL. Boy, is he going to be stewing, sitting there, just going over how this season, the 2025 went. He gets the opportunity to let that piss him off while he gets ready to come back and make the entire NFL pay. Bo Nix, the Denver Broncos, yes, look out, because 2027, more than likely, you're going to face an angry, pissed off version of Pat Mahomes with a much better team based off of how their draft situation will look more than likely, especially this year. So for me, when I say Jadarian Price being the perfect fit, hear me. I'm not saying draft them round 1, round 2. Yes, go best player available with your top 12 pick or whatever it's going to be when this whole thing is said and done with. Like, go use your top pick in the round 1, your first round pick, use that pick, and then go and get yourself a Jadarian Price. Go get that running back that can do everything for you, right? Even if you, hey, remember the Chargers. You can follow the Chargers plan. The Chargers said, hey, let's go get Najee Harris. Let's go sign Najee Harris to a 1-year deal and then draft RJ Harvey round 2. You know what you could do if you're the Kansas City Chiefs? Kansas City Chiefs could sign a J.K. Dobbins, right? Give him a 1-year deal, pay him, right? Really good running back, because RJ Harvey was almost non-existent when J.K. Dobbins was healthy for Denver. Like, that's just how good J.K. Dobbins was before getting hurt. Well, guess what? Do the same thing. You got a guy that's going to be a leader in that locker room, be a leader in the running back room, and be a veteran presence in terms of helping the young rookie get up to speed with the playbook, helping the young rookie understand what it means to be a pro running back. That stuff is invaluable, man. It's invaluable. So, yeah, you can go get your J.K. Dobbins coming off the injury, get him a nice little contract for a year, and then draft your Jadarian Price. Or you could do the Broncos did draft Jadarian Price first, like they've drafted, drafted RJ Harvey, and then sign a J.K. Dobbins, right? Because teams are going to be weary about his knee, okay, like another injury, or his legs, another lower body injury. Like, maybe not. But nonetheless, for me, when I look at what he brings to the table, I am all in on Jadarian Price. And like I said, bringing a veteran, so he doesn't have, you don't have to overwork him with the wear and tear as a rookie, right? Like, you can just kind of bring him along and let him even supplant and use him as a rotation back, change the pace a little bit with him. If you let the veteran get there, hey, you signed him for a $8 million contract for a year. Hey, run them till the wheels fall off. And when the wheels do fall off, now you got a fresh back that you can bring in later in the season. Let him get a couple starts towards the end of the season and get him prepared for what life is going to be like with a Pat Mahomes. I just truly believe that Jadarian Price is the second best running back in this class. This young man has everything. The only thing he just doesn't have is a full-time workload and full-time production. But that's fine because I like my tires with a little wear, with as less wear and tear as possible. And for me, when I look at Jadarian Price, I see a car with brand new tires, a car that's barely been driven, a car that's ready for this long journey across the United States. But guys, coming up next, Vega Ioane. We're going to bring him, take him from Penn State, and he's a perfect prospect pairing for those Houston Texans. Let's help CJ Stroud out. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The new year doesn't require a new you, maybe a less burdened you. We all carry things that weigh us down or hold us back, and therapy can help you identify what those things are by offering an unbiased perspective to better understand your relationships, motivations, and emotions. That's where BetterHelp comes in, making it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist who can help you work through what's holding you back. Take it from someone going on 2 years strong with therapy. Being able to rid yourself of those burdens, those heavy things that weigh us down, man, it is such a refreshing feeling. And you walk out of sessions feeling so much lighter. And you look at things, your perspective changes when you don't have those worries weighing you down. BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/locked-on. That's betterhelp.com/locked-on. The NFL playoffs are getting ready to start, and there's nothing like being at the game. The crowd noise, the energy, and cheering alongside other fans. Watching at home is great, but being in the stadium, it hits different. The frustrating part has always been getting tickets, waiting in queues, dealing with logins, and watching prices change right at checkout. That's why the Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing NFL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Guys, the app is incredibly intuitive. Browsing, comparing, and buying tickets, it just takes minutes, and you can't pass up on something that good. Take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the redeem code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today and get back to being there live. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot, for being our everydayers, and thank you for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network, all because of you, our everydayers. CJ Stroud needs some help, and we got a perfect prospect pairing on the offensive line. This young man, hey, say what you want about CJ Stroud, right? Say what you want about him, but he has helped lead the Texans 3 straight years. I know he got banged up. He got the concussion, I think, in the Denver Broncos game, missed a couple of 2 or 3 games and everything. Shout out to the Texans for being just diligent for his long-term health, right? And he came back in and they've won, right? And not only did they win, they're in the playoffs. And still with an offensive line that's just not great. Vega Ioane. This is a 6'4", 328-pound interior offensive lineman for the Penn State Nittany Lions. And if he is fully declaring in this draft and he is available, this is a guy who has played over 2,309 snaps in college for the Nittany Lions. He has it in college. Per PFF, guys. So per PFF, he is not allowed a sack in 2 seasons. You hear me? In 2 years, he has not allowed a sack since 2023. And this isn't a situation of a guy that is just more run block than pass block. He has, in terms of run blocking, 1,142 run blocking snaps in his career to 1,164 pass blocking snaps in his career. He has played not just left guard, he's played right guard as well. So he gives you that ability to flip between either or. And when you look at the when you look at the Houston Texans offensive line, it is a concern. It's a concern, right? And you got Titus Howard, who's been probably the MVP of that offensive line, who's moved all over the place, and Ariante Ursery, who they drafted last year, and he's shown flashes. Started off a little rough with giving up some sacks and pressures heavily early in his career. He started his first game, he started at right tackle. It was old fashioned all over again, starting them at right tackle, knowing that they're left tackle, right? But then going and flipping back to the left side, getting his bearings, getting his feet solidified and planted into the ground, ready to really play to the best of his ability. Yes, when I look at this situation with Ursery, you got yourself your left tackle next year. Titus Howard can play both left, right guard, and right tackle. So hey, if you're running into a situation where, if Blake Fisher, who's been just up and down since being drafted out of Notre Dame, if he is playing and rounding out to shape, I guess say, if he is playing well enough to be your starting right tackle next year, hey, you got to feel good about that, right? So then if you have your two tackles going forward between the two guys in terms of, because I don't believe Blake Fisher per PFF has not allowed a sack this year, right? Titus Howard has not allowed a sack this year. So that's two good pieces there. If you keep Ed Ingram, right, and if Jake Matthews is going to be your center, or if it's Juice Scruggs, whoever, that left guard spot could be up for grabs. And I think Olaivavega could absolutely take one of those spots, right? Like, I think that's just what it turns out to be, because you need to continue to because Ed Ingram is an unrestricted free agent. Do you pay him the money? Do you throw money his way? Or do you use a Titus Howard in that spot and then draft a guy like Vega Ioane? I think I said Vega Ioane, where that power, that strength, like this is a physical interior offensive lineman. You talk about jarring strikes and recoil from the hips and everything. He creates the enough jolt and shock on impact and on contact. You know what I mean? This is a guy that, well, if you have a smaller defensive tackle in those three techs, he's going to roll grade that guy. He's going to latch those hands, run those feet, and have that stout and dense body type that he's going to run his feet and move that guy out of the way. This is a physical, powerful interior offensive lineman. And you think about also the fact that Houston wants to run the football as well. He's going to help in that regard. Katron Allen had over 1,000 yards this year. Nick Singleton started to figure it out and started to get going later on in the season for Penn State, right? Yes, I look at this situation, and I think Vega. I think that with Vega Ioane, you're saying, hey, you know what? We have a guy that he's a good athlete, not elite, and then you got to worry about sometimes like the recovery ability in terms of athletically. He doesn't recover the best, so it's like, that could be a little bit of a concern. But even with that, right, I am still drafting this guy round one, okay, because not only he's going to help my run game, but with bumpers on this side, right, a solid center, a young left tackle who's a rookie, who, if listen, my everydayers, you remember I came on here, I believe, summer scouting of last year, talking about Ariante Ursery, and I'm like, this dude has all the tools. Size, athleticism, strength, long arms. He's got it all. And I love this game. I was like, yeah, you're going to have to work with some of the mechanical and technical refinement with him. But I was like, if you can get that honed in, coach him up, get that to be a strength instead of a weakness, or just a net neutral, right? It's not a strength, but it's not a weakness either. It's just, hey, he's solid in that regard. If you could do that, you have yourself a 10-year pro at left tackle. I'm talking 2 contracts minimum, who can, as long as he stays healthy. Now you'll be able to put Vega Ioane with him at that left guard spot potentially, or right guard, whatever. And Blake Fisher's playing well. If you got 2 young tackles, you got Titus Howard, who's kind of not the Iron Man, but just the glue guy of that offensive line, and you add a powerful dude like Vega Ioane, I'm telling you, man, CJ Stroud is going to be extremely happy about what it means. Woody Marks is going to be extremely happy. It's going to help this offense and this team who's in their 3rd straight playoffs, man, look to not just make the playoffs for a 4th time, but with that defense, getting Tank Dell back, right? You have a lot of receivers, but Tank Dell is the guy that changes things. You got Noel from Iowa State. You got Jaden Higgins from Iowa State as well to go with Nico Collins. Okay, maybe you add another. Dalton Schultz is just a guy to me. Maybe you try to find. Maybe you add a Michael Trigg and work him into the offense as the pass catching, playmaking tight end, and let Cade Stover be the run blocker and the fullback and do all these different things. This offense could really, really soar and skyrocket up rankings next year. They would be that much better and everything with an improved offensive line, getting Tank Dell back, running the ball, more athleticism and explosiveness at tight end, all those things, man. I'm just telling you right now, perfect prospect pairing. Vega Ioane out of Penn State, interior offensive line with 6'3", 6'4", 328 pounds, powerful, road grading, just physical guy at the point of attack, putting him on this offensive line and on the team that clearly their identity is physicality when you look at their defense and their head coach. But guys, that's the show today. Talk about perfect pairings, perfect prospect pairings. Vega Ioane to the Houston Texans to man one of those interior offensive line spots. Jadarian Price, the running back, RB2 out of Notre Dame, is RB2 for this draft class. Having him coming as the new face of the rushing game for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then Jermod McCoy hasn't played in a year, but he's healthy supposedly. And if everything checks out, him being a perfect fit for the Minnesota Vikings and potentially a fit with Brian Flores in that defensive secondary. But guys, go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On tomorrow's show, guys, Keith will be back. We're going to go over his latest mock draft. Probably going to break it down into at least 2 to 3 episodes and really go through the meat and potatoes of his mock and really talk about all the fits to your favorite teams. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.